Where you have to come in. That's where the legislators around the state, public officials, locally, those that have an impact on how we treat each other, should be warned about what's going on. When we talk about the legislation, we talk about it in a way that has an impact on bringing people together to voice their concern about how the laws will be written and how and when they'll be written to have an impact on a certain issue, whether it's taxes or the environment or schools. But in this particular issue, we have found that prior to the earthquake in December, I asked for a moratorium because many of my constituents came to me. And they came to their legislator, their elected official, and they asked and begged for assistance in trying to get me to understand the issue of hydraulic fracturing. But what they really said to me that sparked my biggest interest was that chemicals were coming into Ohio that were no longer, as Jamie said, really should be called brine, but in fact, toxic chemicals were being shipped from Pennsylvania into Ohio. 56% of what we take in Ohio, of that so-called toxic chemical brine, is actually from Pennsylvania. They don't take it in Pennsylvania because, lo and behold, they discovered that they were putting it in their wastewater treatment plants, and they found out that there was radiation involved. And while that was going through the wastewater treatment plant, it was coming into the drinking water of Pennsylvanians. So they raised their hands to their legislature and to their local people and to the city of Pittsburgh, and they asked for, and they received a pretty good sounding from the people to enact a moratorium. But they didn't stop the drilling itself. And they found a willing state to take that toxic chemicals, that concoction, that cocktail of danger, and they found that Ohio would be glad to take it. And so they took it here in Ohio at one of the cheapest rates around. And they decided that even in the Mahoning Valley, we were open for business. So they dug a injection well below what they were supposed to dig, by the way, 9,000 feet. The geologist can correct me on the, I think it's called the Precambrian level of the earth. And they injected it in there with hydraulic pressure itself and expanded into our area underneath the Mahoning Valley, underneath Youngstown, and caused 12, not 11, 12 earthquakes. And finally, the reverberations are starting to reach Columbus. They're starting to understand that we are serious about our political action. So tonight I want you to notice that other legislators were invited who did not show up. Others that are your elected representatives are not here. You have your third ward councilman that has shown up, and I appreciate it. Nate is here. Nate, you want to stand up and let the people know that. If I'm not mistaken, that did happen in between the 3rd and 4th ward. I think I saw another councilman back there. Yeah, Mike Ray is here too. Thank you, Mike. And Anthony Ferris is also here. I'm sorry, Anthony, for the mayor. Oh, and Annie Gillard. I'm sorry. We have local officials starting to see what is happening. And I will say to the, under the guidance of Councilman Mike Ray, where that earthquake actually did happen, they pushed through a moratorium on the injection wells. And I'd like to thank them, and I think we should all thank them too. Our action and the action of Mother Earth is starting to move people. But if we really are serious about this, we have to let the governor and the legislature know. That's where the laws are passed. That's where they're changed. That's where they're amended and moved. That we are not going to sit around and wait for the destruction of the Mahoning Valley. That's just not going to happen under our law.